Good morning, good day, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you're at, whenever you're watching this video. Hey, thanks for joining in with me on this hobby of mine. I've got another 10 roll collection here of quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, and bonus is I got 3 rolls of half dollars. Banks usually don't carry these, and that they only had the 3 rolls. I'm a little more excited. It's not a dump bank per se. Um, so let's kick this off. Um, I can tell you right now, and I'll bring you back in for the quarters. I'll do that real quick because that's easy. These are all brand new rolls of quarters. But I'll bring you in for that one. I want to kick in with these. So give me a second to set up, and I'll bring you back in. All right, folks, here we are. Last roll. There's only 3 rolls. Can you see that? Can I focus it? Let's get a little bit in closer. Can you see it? I did not see it at first. I was looking at these coins here, and now I'm looking at these two from the edge. I didn't think much of it. Let's take a look at this one first. That is a 1995. That's a really dark, confusing edge there. But when I looked at this one, yeah, look at that. 1968 Denver. That is, yeah, Denver. That's a 40% silver. Look at that. That edge was very deceiving, and I didn't catch it by sound. There it is. It just sound didn't catch it, so I actually overlooked it until I started. Until I started looking at each one individually. But not bad. 68 Denver, 40% silver. I will definitely take that. All right, folks, so I did get another 5 rolls of halves here, and I might have 5 more potentially. Been going through them. Roll number 4 here. No silvers in this. We just had that one. But as I fanned it out and started taking a look here, I did find some good finds in here, so I thought I'd bring you in, go through these together. I'll look for double dice later, because where did it go? There we go. We have a 2000. Zoom in. There we go. 2011 Philadelphia. That is a not for intended for circulation, NIFC. All looks good there. I'll keep that aside because I am building an NIFC collection, and take a look. There it is. We have a counter strike here, bicentennial, and then 78 struck on it. And on the back, we have 33 and 45. So I have no idea what those counter strikes are or why they were done. 78, 33, and 45, which is total 78. 3, 7, yeah, 78, 33, 45. So whatever that one is, but that's the one. We had a 2003, also NIFC. Add that from my collection. There is another one, 78 Counter Strike on the front and 33, 45, doubling on the 4. Counter Strike. Was that the? I think there was another one, 2001, 83 with the FG. Oh, that was another one. I don't know what to say on that one. We have a hold 1984. So somebody drilled through on that one. Really poor condition. You can see the vice grips that they put it in, or the vice they had it in while drilling. But we have a hole, hold 1, 77, 77, and yet another one, the third one, 78 bicentennial. It's interesting, these were all on the bicentennials, and they all have the exact same counter strikes, 33, 45, 78. I don't know of any significance that somebody may do that for, but if you do, leave that comment below. Maybe there's some kind of significance for those counter strikes. bring you back in if there are any more finds. And like I said, I might have 5 more rolls at the bank. I got to see if she saved them for me or not. I'll know tomorrow. All right, folks. Lesson learned here. Never go to your bank first thing on a Monday morning. They are all out of coins. I had to actually go to 2 banks, and I'm out of luck on these. I'm not going to bore you with everything here, but the first bank only had four rolls of quarters they can give. And if you can look at that, they are all brand new. Look at that nice shiny 2025 Denvers. Flip on the other side. That is good news for me is this is my first 2025 quarter. Juliette Gordon Lowe, the founder of the Girl Scouts of America, United States of America. This one's 25D, 25Ds, but I'm going to assume it's the same one. And as I was leaving the bank, I did drop one, so that gave me a chance to break those apart and just confirm that is all 2025 Juliet Denver. I don't believe the Denver Mint has any errors for the Juliet Low. These are all new releases. I did hear it's a lower mint release for those, so I will check those out in a few here. Of the 20 of the other 60, I went to the bank this morning to fill up that, and look what this bank gave me. I've got Eleanor Roosevelt's, all brand new 2023, also Denver, Denver mints. So I've got 6 rolls complete, brand new, uncirculated, I guess you could call, but brand new bank rolls of Eleanor Roosevelt. So again, don't know what I'll do with these, but quarter hunt's not going to be a hunt. I'm going to thumb through at least the open one, add those. That way I could add those to my books. I'll probably finish that. I don't know if I will open these or not to look for any kind of errors, strike throughs, blank planchets. I don't know. Throw in a comment down below. Tell me what you think I should do with these $90, these other 9 rolls of brand new wrapped 2023 Eleanor Roosevelt Denvers and these new 2025 Juliette Gordon Low Denver wrapped coins. All right, folks. Quarters were all new. Again, I'm keeping those in the original wrappers. I'm not searching those, so I'm just moving right on to the dimes. We got 10 rolls of dimes. We got the 3 bank wrapped rolls, and then we got the customer wrapped rolls. A couple odd ones here. I'm really curious about this. Is a nice old school wrapper, so I'm curious with that one. But I am going to start off with these. Again, dimes, not much to search for. I will look for double dies, error strikes, but mostly I'm just looking for silvers. I need 2024s and 2025s for my collection. That looks like a newer one here, so let's take a look there. That's 21. No silver. That's a newer edge. That's a 19D. All right, so those big edges there. Like I said, I'll end up searching these more detail off camera. All right, folks, here we are for the dimes. Actually, a couple finds. Nothing significant, but some fun finds nonetheless. One of those customer wrapped rolls did give us a foreign Canadian 1978. So an older one, still good condition. Foreign find Canadian. And the other one is our modern 2024 Philadelphia. Nothing fancy on this one. I do have one for my collection already. This is not an upgrade, but it is a 2024. Still looking for those 2025s. All right, so that's that. Now we're getting into our nickels. I've got 4 rolls of customer wrap. Those are the ones I'm going to start off with. And then the 6 rolls of the bank or machine wrap. Let's see what kind of finds we will get out of this, and I'll bring you back in for the finds along the way. All right, folks, here we are bringing you in finally for the summary. I was thinking about bringing you halfway in, and I just realized there weren't that many significant finds here. So 10 rolls of nickels. It did give us one 1998 Canadian common foreign find for me. We did have a bonus. We had a diamond there. That is a 1965 checked. No errors, not on the silver planchet, but a 65 Philadelphia dime. Good find. And we did have our 2 standard 1968 San Francisco, so I do pull that out. I got to go through all of those and see if I'm ready to get a roll going. Of the regular finds, a lower mintage, not a key date or a low mint, 1941, and that is San Francisco, 1941S. So a good find on that. Not as common of one. We had a 1946, and that is a Philadelphia common nickel. We had 1947 Denver mint. So again, lower mintage, but not a low mint. So some 2 decent finds there. Our 1950s did give us a 1954 Denver. We had 2 1957s. Both of those are Denver mints. We had 1958, also Denver mint, so very common 1950s, and we did have a 1959 Denver mint. So what's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 finds in 10 rolls. Not bad, about average for my nickel hunts, but not good for my albums. No book fillers in those. Moving on to the pennies, we do have 5 rolls of customer, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 rolls of bank wrapped rolls. So we will get in with those, and I'll bring you back in for the finds along the way. All right, folks, take a look at this. Getting in our first customer wrapped roll. That is a very old Canadian. So not only is it foreign, take a look at that King George the Sixth. So if I find King George, it's going to be a nice old date. I can't remember the date now. I think it's like 1950 something when they went to Elizabeth. So let's take a look. Look at that, 1943. 1943 King George the Sixth. That is a great, great old foreign find. Bring you in for the next find. All right, folks, second customer wrapped roll here, and this came up, took a peek at it already, and was just like, wow, talk about dirty and corroded. Couldn't really see the date there until I flipped it over and went, oh my gosh, that is a wheat cent. So let's flip over the screen here because it is corroded and dirty, which makes it hard, of course, to see the details. Pretty nice details there. Flip that over, and we have a 1941 Philly. A lot of, what would you call those, spots? I don't want to call them spots across there, but man, just overall, very, very dirty. 1941, but that's the first wheat. Roll number 2. I'll bring you back in for the next find. All right, folks, here we are halfway through. I got through 5 rolls of the customer wrapped rolls. Now the remaining 5 are the bank wrapped rolls, so nice place to bring you in. Definitely a foreign find, Canadian here. So we did have that stunner, nice 1943. zoom in a little bit better there, 1943. And that, of course, is King George VI. We also had another nice oldie, 1962. This is the younger head of Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth. Nice to find that one. We also had a 1968 Queen Elizabeth. And then, just like pulling those out of those, can't remember the transition year. Get that set up there. But you can see the difference between the two profiles of Queen Elizabeth, one with the crown diadem, that one's a bit dirty, hard to see, versus the younger face to Queen Elizabeth, and that was 62 and 68. So I think 64-ish might have been the transition year when they updated that. We also had a more modern, but man, talk about corroded, 1993. And that again, not that you can see it, is Queen Elizabeth again. Beat up on that. We had, and I don't know why I still pull these out, but there are 6. All of these are 2024 Denver, all from the Denver Mint. Get a lot of those Denvers out where I'm at here north, which is surprising because I'm closer to Philadelphia than I am Denver. But 6 2024s. We did have of that odd find. We did have a 1995 Denver Diamond there, so a bonus coin for us there. And then the final coin was that dirty, which I brought up earlier, 1941 Philadelphia, but that is our wheat. So 1 wheat in the first 5 rolls, all customer wrapped rolls. Bring you back in as I get through these bank wraps. All right, folks, here we are, roll number 7. We're in the bank wrapped rolls, second roll of those, and look at that. Yeah, didn't see the date, staring me at the face, 1936. So that is a weedy. That's an oldie, 90 years old, 1936. It is not the DDO version. I did take a look and put that under the scope. I'll bring you back in for the next find. All right, folks, here we are for the summary of the 10 pennies. And man, it threw off my averages. Look at that. Roll number 8, I opened up, had all those shiny edges in there. I wish I had an actual penny roll to use than this, but look at that. That's all 2024 Denvers. Nice, shiny, new. And to boot, I got shields on this side, but flip those over. And look at that. I got 2024 Denver and 2024 Denver. So I had 3 full rolls of 2024 Denvers, not to mention the 6 I had in those customer wrapped rolls. So we had a lot of 2024 Denvers, which really hurt my copper average as well. So looking up here at the 1960s, I had 17 of those. I had 33 from the 1970s and 23 from the 1980s, and I did weigh my 82. So that's 80, 81, and 80 copper 82s. So that plus all the copper down here gives me 16%. I normally average 20 to 25% copper in my penny roll hunts, so those 3 new rolls really took a hit. Of other finds, customer wrapped again, we did have that dime on there. Of the machine wrapped, let me flip you over here to this screen. Maybe there we go. We do have a 1969 Denver. And as always, I look at my Denvers for the flip side and start there. No FG, so that is the 1969 Denver. No FG variety. Not a lot of detail left in that one, and it does really weak, but almost the floating roof as well. But that is a 1969 Denver. No FG. So I am going to actually just add that to my collection. There we go. Add that to my collection because I don't think that's a flip worthy coin yet. Canada though, man, Canada was booming in this, both the customer wrapped and even the bank wrapped rolls. So before we had that stunning, great detail here, 1943, and that again is King George the Sixth. So we have nice detail in that one. We had of the young heads, we had that 1962 Queen Elizabeth young head. 1968, a little beat up, but the more modern Queen Elizabeth. We also had a 1971. We had a 1984. You can see all these current, well, old, but current profile image of hers. We had this dirty 1993. At least it shows up nice there on camera. And again, the more modern head. And we did get this dark, dirty, in the bank wrapped rolls, 2001 Canadian. That's the most recent of her profile, her pictures, portraits on the coins. So at least you could see now. It's nice to see the whole, pull out the better of them. All three portraits and styles of Queen Elizabeth and the Canadians on there. So good finds. I do enjoy. I do set the Canadians, especially considering they stopped making them. But man, this King George the Sixth, gotta love it. Do love finding the old Canadian in circulation in the United States when Canada stopped printing the cents 13 years ago. Of our finds, the bank wrapped roll gave us an oldie. Look at that, 1936. And I'm going to flip these over again for you on this one. That is a 36 Philly. I do look for this one, and we did look at Liberty. We do look at In God We Trust, and no doubling on that. So, but really good condition for a 89, 90-year-old coin, whatever that, 1936, so 25, yeah, so 89-year-old coin. The other one we found was the sturdy 1941. Again, no doubling. We did look on that, and if it wasn't for all this corrosion, this could have been a really nice wheat cent. All right, folks, so here's the overall summary for my 10 roll bank hunt. Like I said, I did find more, so I actually had 8 rolls of the half dollars, something unusual to get. That first 3 rolls from the bank, from this bank, gave us this 1968. So we did get silver, 40% silver out of that. The other 2 finds came from a different bank. I got 5 more rolls, and they are NIFCs, 2003, 2011. So I'll add that to my NIFC album. Of our dimes, and I'm going to say this is just a Canadian theme if we look at that. Our dimes didn't have anything particular. We did have that one 2024 Denver, and we did have a Canadian on there, 1978, older Canadian dime out of that. Our nickels also gave us a Canadian. We had a two, I could read that, 1998, a little bit dirty, corroded, but a Canadian for the nickels as well. Of our other nickel finds, we had a 1941, 1946, and 1947 for the 40s. None of them are the low mintage or key dates. We had 1954. We had 2 1957s. We had 1958 and 1959, all Denver Mint, so all common Jefferson nickels there as well. And as you saw with our Lincoln cents, a lot of Canadians, so every roll, sans the quarters, and I'll come back to why there's no quarters on here. All of our rolls here had Canadians, and again, that Pride best find, King George the Sixth, 1943 Canadian. 62, we had a 68 and a 71, 84. This was that hard to determine on that one. That was a 90, 93, and a dirty 2001 Canadian. We did get one good, really good wheat cent. We had that 1936, not the DDO version, but an oldie nonetheless. 1936, good condition, better than the 1941 Philly, which is just corroded and beat up. It's definitely seen its life. And we also had that 1969 Denver, and that is that no FG. So, not a flip worthy coin per se, decent condition. Um, Probably fine, maybe an extra fine. You can push for that, but it's got a bunch of dings and nicks on the sides of the rim here. So I'm probably not putting that one in a flip. But there we go, guys. 10 rolls, each, well, 8 rolls of halves, 10 rolls of all the denominations. And again, that quarters, I didn't even bother opening because they were all, well, new and old. So that's a bad one. We had 6 rolls of Eleanor Roosevelt, and I had 4 rolls of, what's her name? There we go. Juliet Gordon Low, the founder of the Girl Scouts of America. So these were all new rolls for the quarters. That's why they're not on the board. There was nothing worth hunting out of there. So thanks for joining in, guys. I really appreciate all this time you've spent in making it to the end. If you haven't already, please remember to give me those thumbs up. Work that YouTube algorithm. Click that below the screen to the left there. You see that subscribe button. You click on that one to subscribe for more videos and shorts coming soon. And any thoughts on this hunt, don't forget to leave that comment below. And until the next time, guys, have yourselves a wonderful, 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 wonderful day and happy hunting.